we start our presentation with abstract part. From the article, we discuss on the problem arise when operating data center and solution to overcome the problem arise. From our finding, we find that there are three main problems with this data center. There was a cooling process, power supply, and also security. We also find the solution for cooling process problem. There are three ways. Firstly is managing the floor space. Next is cooling liquid inside. We move to the introduction part. A data center is a facility composed of network, computers, and storage that business or other organization use to organize, process, store, and disseminate large amounts of data. And in this project, we are asked to produce report of review article based on the assignment topic that was cloud enabling technology. And in this project, we discuss on the characteristic structure of data center, and we also investigate from
there are three issues that related to the contents of literature. First one is power supply deterioration. There are two types for cause of this problem, that is man-made causes and natural causes. The example of man-made causes is transformer energization, capacitor or feeder switching, power electronic loads, and arc furnaces. For natural causes, the example is faults or lightning strikes on distribution feeders, falling of twigs or branches on distribution feeders during storming condition or equipment failure. Short period of outages can result on huge amount of losses in terms of data losses. Is information security vulnerability. In reality, the main commentary to integrity of data come mostly from managed sources. A poorly skilled employee causes a big impact. Some cases come from someone with rash or criminal intention. From a case, only 14 caused by service operation, while the other 60% from human operation. Next one is data center cooling infrastructure. Server virtualization makes the computing model more efficient, but as kickbacks create an environment which increases high heat density. As for distribution, play important role in power consumption costs. Therefore, it is needed to have a sufficient data center cooling in management of data center. If it's not given an outlet, it will cause the damage or destroy on the server and other electronic device. In the discussion part, I will discuss about the ways to overcome the problem. First is about the cooling process. There are three ways that can be done for the cooling process. A well-designed and operated cooling system may use only a small fraction of the energy used by IT. The operating temperatures and the relative humidity levels within data center also need to be closely controlled to ensure reliability in performance. Firstly is the managing floor space. It is suggested that by reducing the floor space with the move to the cloud, many servers may be moving to someone else's data center. If that leaves an open space locally, the wall of it will negate cooling needs. They could lock the cool air in but save the space if the data center ever needs to expand again. Next is the cooling liquid inside the data center, where the entire systems are submerged and there would be water-cooled processor and liquid cooling components. The traditional cooling process using the liquid, as shown in figure 2. Lastly is the combining of the infrastructure as shown in figure 3. Efficiencies might also be gained by infrastructure modeling. Basically, it means that all the cracks and corners of the data center by finding out where the hotspots. The second issue is the vulnerability of information security. Security of data center can be controlled by the physical access to the data center. Some data center managers might start with harder tasks such as controlling access to each system or the network layer. By establishing the secure zones in the network, after the physical security processes take place, the hard work begins. By lock down the servers and hosts would be the best solution. All services are registered in a database that contains contact information and details about whether the servers contain privacy information must be. Most of the database is maintained manually, could be improved by automation process as shown in figure 4. Lastly is the scan application for vulnerabilities. Application scanning and code scanning tools are important to protect our data.
The data center power supply is connected to two separate grid sectors operated by the local utility company.
This power supply deterioration. There are two types for cause of this problem, that is man-made causes and natural causes.
What? And output
Causes is transformer energization, capacitor or feeder switching, power electronic loads, and arc furnaces. For natural causes,
third, fault
or lightning strikes on distribution feeders, falling of twigs or branches on distribution feeders during storming condition, or equipment failure.
incident.
Figure above show the key parameter of each type UPS battery, which is lead acid, lithium ion, and supercapacitor. Lead acid offers the most inexpensive energy capacity, which is key reason that lead acid is most used storage in current UPS. Lithium ion has high energy density, which means it can provide the same capacity in small form factor. Higher energy density is one key reason that Li has been proposed to be used in UPS persever, which has form factor constraints. In lead acid, lithium ion or other battery energy is stored in chemical reaction. In contrast, supercapacitor only store energy as opposite electric charge on storage medium surface. This different energy storing mechanism determines that energy density of supercapacitor is lower than battery. To provide the same capacity, supercapacitor have 5 times larger volume than lithium ion. Therefore, it is desirable to reduce supercapacitor requirement in a form factor constrained environment. However, supercapacitor shows its clear advantage on power density and charge cycle. Due to its small internal resistance, supercapacitor can afford to deliver large transient power without generating a significant amount of heat or voltage drop. In addition, modern activated carbon material can be produced into a structure that has a huge surface within a compact form factor. Therefore, supercapacitor can achieve a high power density. For lead acid, lithium ion, and supercapacitor, each technology has its own advantage and limitation. Therefore, hybrid energy storage solution that integrate supercapacitor with UPS battery is highly recommended. To protect data center against physical attack, numerous physical prevention and detection mechanisms are implemented today. This includes security locks, crash barrier, two-factor authentication, surveillance camera, security guards. This protection and defense mechanism remain entirely in physical space, and despite their existence, physical breach and insider threat attacks can continue to occur. Cyber-level protection mechanisms, including persistent encrypted and hash storage, provide sound confidentiality protection against physical attack, but can incur tremendous overhead in data center handling vast amounts of data. A cyber-physical defense against physical attacks in the data center is recommended. The key to the defense is that in today's data center, customer data and core reside and execute within virtual machines. Virtual machines are containers for code and data, and because of underlying visualization software, the code and data are not tied down to the physical system they are executing or stored on. This virtual machine migration is a common technique used to move a virtual machine from one physical machine to another. Virtualization allows virtual machine to be easily deleted, encrypted, and moved, which form the trial or defense strategy. The defense strategies are in the spirit of moving target defense, where code and data are moved to prevent the attacker. The cooling design in a high power density data center is quite complex. It is necessary to model the airflow and temperature distribution in the data center. Layout change was made by virtue of numerical modeling to avail efficient use of air conditioning resource. The cooling load on a computer room air conditioning (CRAC) unit compared to its conventionally sized capacity will be referred to as provisioning of unit in a data center environment. An under-provisioned CRAC unit would indicate that cooling load is higher than the capacity of unit, while an over-provisioned CRAC unit would signify that the load is well within its capacity. The hypothesis is that malprovisioning will lead to waste of energy, and a proper provision environment will lead to efficient use of energy resource. From the figure, the racks are laid out in rows separated with hot and cold aisles, as shown in the figure. While the cold aisles supply cold air to the system, hot aisles are designed to remove hot air from the system. Although racks come in standard size, improper layout can radically change the fluid mechanics inside the data center, leading to inefficient alteration of CRAC units. In summary, three main problems faced by data center is discussed in our report, which is cooling, power supply, and data protection vulnerability. Overcoming the cooling problem, data center must have a well-designed and fully operated cooling system for maximum efficiency and performance, and the CRAC capacity must be optimum. The floor space and rack layout must be well managed for optimum air ventilation. Numerous physical prevention and detection mechanisms are implemented for data center protection. These include security locks, crash barrier, two-factor authentication, surveillance camera, security controlling physical access, lockdown, server and host, perform risk assessment, training to personnel, and scanning application for vulnerabilities. The data center power supply is connected to two separate grid sectors to enable continuous power supply when another isn't in service. For worst-case scenario, data center normally have backup power supply by UPS battery. If cloud computing is just one touch away from global community, three main problems faced by data centers should take into consideration. Thank you.